Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we discuss day-to-day problems people face in their lives. Let's start with the video. On a very random Tuesday morning, I had just been done putting a breakfast together for my 6-year-old son and 4-year-old daughter when my phone rang announcing a conversation that was about to derail the events that took place in my life throughout the following few months. My medically advised health insurance company, which my husband, children, and I are signed to, at the recommendation of our family doctor, called me to confirm that the multiple, consistent, and deliberate TRMs and increases that were being applied to my health insurance were of my direct request or subject to my consent, and also to get the confirmation that it was indeed my husband who was going to amp up my health insurance and not someone trying to fraud the company and then fake death and cash in on the big bucks or something of that sort. I was very confused and I told them that I'm not really aware of what they're talking about and that they should look into it more and get back to me with their findings, and I would be talking to my husband and asking him if he was responsible for this. My husband had been staying the past few nights at my in-laws' house because my mother-in-law's health is declining rapidly because of her entangled medical conditions. And he's being a good son that is fully present for her during her times of hardship and what could very well be her last days on earth. For clarification, my mother-in-law is one of the most loving people I've ever met, and I've been mothered by her from the moment I walked into her house. The only reason I wasn't able to go with my husband and stay at the hospital is because my kids have school and I have to tend to them. We visit everyone at the hospital every evening, but I'm mostly responsible for staying with them and away from my mother-in-law. I tried calling him on his phone multiple times and to no avail. I realized that he was probably unable to pick up because of bad service or because he was occupied with his mom. I thought to myself that it could probably wait till the evening before I was suddenly struck by the strangeness of what was going on. I can't believe I was about to let something so serious slide like it's an average conversation. Nevertheless, I needed to confirm whether this was of his doing or not. I also have to get back to the company with their answer. So if there was anyone trying to fraud my husband and I's identity or something was wrong with the system or worst case scenario, my husband was actually trying to amp up my health insurance without informing me or even discussing it with me. I opened his computer and dug into his emails and scrolled to the past few days' draft and sent emails, and quickly realized that there were a lot of emails going back and forth between my husband and our family doctor. Now, what was suspicious about the emails wasn't the fact that they were sent or received or anything. I wouldn't have checked them had they not been deleted from the inbox, but marked as family info, therefore only being present in the marked files. I found that extremely strange and I couldn't help my curiosity, which led me to open them up and check their contents. I then noticed that my RAN name up and down like most of the conversations that took place revolved around it, or rather the person it belongs to. What I realized then altered the course of many things. The emails insinuated that my husband had taken my children's DNA, as well as mine and his, and had them genetically tested by our family doctor, who ended up concluding that I was genetically receptive to plenty of predispositions to lethal and disability-causing diseases. And that was possibly the reasoning as to why there's a lot of family members from my side that have passed away at very young ages in unexplainable ways. I cannot describe to you the feeling of betrayal and disappointment I felt when I realized the gravity of what was happening. To an extent, my husband had amped up my health insurance upon the realization that I was genetically apt to diseases that would take my life sooner than normal and had relied on my early death to subside his financial greed. I don't know what to make of the emails that I was reading, and I immediately called my mother to have an external confirmation that I wasn't just being overly paranoid. I felt alone all of a sudden and felt as though my husband was a stranger to me. The only thing I could think of was all those women whose husbands went broke and basically invested in cranking up their health insurance and then killed them heartlessly. The ones I hear about from crime shows and even true crime. One more thing that I failed to mention was that I have type 2 bipolar disorder, which leads me to become very paranoid and extreme in the actions that I take when I'm undergoing emotional stress. And one might say that at that point, I was going through the epitome of emotional stress. I didn't find it within me to call him again or try to ask for an explanation because everything was laid out in front of me. I can't tell if it was going to rely purely on my predisposition to die early or if he would one day take matters into his own hands to get the money he put in out of my health insurance or not. I wasn't planning to stick around until I found out, so I packed some clothes for myself and my kids and booked plane tickets to go to my mother's home abroad. Now, thinking back at it, it was extremely impulsive, but I can't describe to you the sheer panic my body went into when pieces started clicking and things he was saying that were previously normal started taking a dark shade of murder. My kids' school called me and I informed them that there was an emergency that made us fly out of the country. One more thing that I couldn't shake off my mind was my mother-in-law who could possibly die while I'm far away, and I'd end up being consumed by guilt and melancholy whenever I remember her, regardless of how this ends. I called my lawyer asking him to create the divorce files on my behalf. I can't really tell where I want to go with this, or if I'm even exaggerating. Whatever it is, one thing's for sure. My husband has been amping up my health insurance for a good few months after actively seeking out how prone I was to unexpected early death. Never not one mentioning things that put me on guard, all while talking back and forth with our family doctor that was essentially confirming to him that he'll benefit handsomely should I die with my health insurance well fed. Not only will this be something I can never forget, but this is surely to traumatize my kids and me even more than I already was. Not the a-hole. What a story. Yo, I don't think you're overreacting or anything. It's always best to be cautious than to be regretful. I'm sure people who've been through situations like this and they ended up going horribly didn't suspect the harm to come from their spouses, but we can't blindfold ourselves and pretend like we don't live in a world where things like this take extremely grotesque and disgusting endings. I'm really happy that the company you were assigned to have notifications and reminders, or else things could have gone completely under the radar and you would have only been able to find out when it was too late. That's exactly what I was thinking. The fact that she thinks she's overthinking is just because she's considering her reaction to be a symptom of her bipolar disorder, hence why she mentioned it. But in a situation like this, you need to be extreme in your reaction because this is an extreme action in and of itself. Not the a-hole. Stay away from your husband for as long as you can, until you get a rational explanation as to why he was doing that. And though I can sense that there's literally no other explanation other than him finding out to what extent he can benefit from your death, although increasing the health insurance does cost money, which I'm assuming he wouldn't do unless he had another plan to make sure it comes back to him. Anyways, stay with your mom and notify authorities and minimize contact with him. Not the a-hole. I can really sense that you're a good-hearted woman who's been through far too worse things than what you deserve. The fact that you found out your husband was plotting something sinister and let it slip off your mind easily to not disturb him when he's with his sick mother speaks levels. Not only that, but also that you were thinking of her on the plane and letting sadness rule over you because of the thought that she might die without you getting to say goodbye. You're not exaggerating anything, and you're right to seek your safety and distance from your husband when he just did something that proves he's not worth trusting or believing. Keep your kids away from him too, because he doesn't even hesitate to use them as further fuel for his plan to fetch your DNA or whatever. I wish you all the safety and good in the world. Take care of yourself because we need people like you in the world. Next story. I'm male 32, I'm the sole income earner in our household, and my wife is a stay-at-home mom. She had a job but could no longer keep it due to health problems. We have a year-old daughter at home as well. Ever since I started working from home, my wife started treating me as if I was available to do whatever she needed me to do, like fix the faucet or deal with the leaking roof. But I work long hours from home and I need to be committed and professional, otherwise I'd risk losing my position. She interrupted my work several times already. I had a conversation with her about it and asked that she stop asking me to do things until I'm done working, and she said okay. But it happened again days ago when she barged into my office with our daughter all of a sudden, telling me to keep an eye on her while she visited the clinic. I paused my work session because I was caught off guard. She didn't tell me beforehand. She said that she suddenly started feeling pain in her belly and needed to see the doctor ASAP. I explained that I had important work and could not stay with our daughter or keep her in the office while working. She said she won't be long, but I urged her to call her sister and let her come stay with our daughter. In my opinion, this seemed to be the one reasonable solution for both of us, but she lashed out at me, saying no because this was an emergency while my work could wait. She said she had no time to wait till her sister came over, but I said I'd call her myself and tell her to come over. I even suggested I pay her, and all my wife had to do was wait a few minutes till her sister arrived. She stormed out of the office with our daughter after calling me a selfish jerk, with no empathy to keep her waiting longer before visiting the doctor. My sister-in-law came some 20 minutes later and my wife left then. I tried calling her to check on her, but she purposely hung up on me few times, and when she got home she was still pretty mad at me, which I don't get because I think that I provided a solution that allowed her to go to her doctor's appointment and allowed me to resume my work session, but no, she kept talking about what a horrible partner and father I was, to refuse to provide help when she needed it, and refuse to sympathize with her difficult situation and making her wait for her sister when she needed to see the doctor ASAP. She's now refusing to speak to me altogether. I think my compromise was reasonable. I don't really get why she got so mad over it. Was I the a-hole? Good thing her abdominal pain wasn't an aortic aneurysm. Imagine the inconvenience of pausing work long enough to deal with a coroner removing her dead body, and geez, funeral planning, and just everything would really cut into your big provider important time. You're the a-hole. Everyone sucks here. I get that some people get confused with work from home and how the lines blur when you actually need solid hours of uninterrupted work. Your wife is failing to recognize the difference and failing to take your job seriously. However, in this specific situation, you were definitely in the wrong. She was in pain. She needed to go to the doctor. What you do is take the kid. You don't decide to stand your ground when your wife is in pain and needing to make it to a doctor's appointment. If this appointment was pre-planned, then I'd call you not the a-hole, but sometimes you just snatch an appointment and have to make it. I get your frustration with her not respecting your work time, but you picked the wrong time to make a statement here. Next story. Over Black Friday, I bought 2 games, Mario Kart 8 and FF7 Remake, but due to an Amazon mix-up, it was mistakenly sent to my ex's. A few days ago, she let me know a package for me arrived. I apologized for the mix-up and asked her to forward it to me when she gets the chance. She was a-okay about it and promised to send it by the end of the week. I got the package, but one of the games was missing. Hey, I didn't see FF7 here. Is that coming separately? Nope, you get to buy that over. Haha, okay, but really, is it in a separate package? Nope, it's my tax money for helping you. Okay, all jokes aside, you're sending it, right? Utter silence. Hello, you are sending it, right? I get a phone call and she asks if I'm mad. I said I will be if she's serious. She gets defensive and sleazy about trying to keep the game. I'm trying my hardest to reason with a 30-year-old woman about what stealing is, and I reach my limit. Her father is a great man and still keeps a good relationship with me, and he unfortunately needs to act as her moral compass sometimes. So I say, do I really need to get your father involved for you to do the right thing? Like I'm dealing with a 14-year-old? You wouldn't dare get my father involved in this. I hung up within a second and called her father. Poor guy was pleasant as a peach, happy to hear from me, asking how the winter is treating us in Pennsylvania. And I had to cut through pleasantries to let him know that his daughter just committed a federal crime, opened up mail addressed to me, and stole part of its contents. The man is a former cop. His tone grows low and defeated, and he tells me he'll talk to her. I apologize for dragging him into this and promise to catch up later. While waiting for her to call me back, I filled out the police report but didn't submit it. She calls and, in typical fashion, starts playing the victim. God, if you're going to make such a big deal over your stupid, precious effing video game, I guess I'll send it to you. Nuh-uh, you're not gonna make me the bad guy for being upset over you opening my mail and stealing from me. Not happening. Fine, I'll send it to you, only if you apologize for inconveniencing me. I go full my father mode and yelled, "Get effed! You either send it to me or I press send on this police report." She panicked and relented. So, was dragging her father in and going nuclear the wrong thing? Could I have handled this better? I'm sure, though I'm holding back a lot of emotions here. Did I get threatening too quick? Thanks if you made it through this disaster. Hopefully it was worth your time. Not the a-hole. First of all, great job on the write-up. You used quotes and switched characters with sentence breaks and everything. Kudos on the grammar and proper storytelling. Would just file my own report to the police and Amazon for this. They would easily write it off and send another. Not the a-hole. She stole from you, tried to claim what she stole as tax, refused to give you what she stole, and only started to return your stuff when you told her dad. You could have easily passed her dad and just sent in a police report. You did her a favor by getting her dad involved. Next story. Me, 35 male, and my ex-wife Natalie, 34 female, have a daughter Shannon, 13 female. We were married for 10 years but had a lot of issues communicating, and I hated her money management. We argued about money constantly, and eventually this led to us divorcing when Shannon was 8. It wasn't a great divorce and at times got personal. Natalie has gotten married to Trevor, and Trevor has 2 kids from a previous relationship. I've been dating Alana for 2 years now and she has no kids. Now to the problem. Every single year since Shannon was 4, we have gone to Disney after Christmas, and it's a very special trip. Even as co-parents, we have done this trip, sometimes bringing our parents as well. It can be a grind, all being in the same room together, as I really dislike Natalie. But we make it work. This year, though, Natalie calls me and tells me she can't afford her half of the trip this year. Trevor doesn't have a job and she can't afford gifts for his kids, Christmas and this trip. She asks if I'll pay for it and I refuse. Been in this situation plenty with her, and I'm not giving this woman any more of my money. Shannon comes home from her mom's, upset saying that she heard the trip might not happen unless daddy, me, makes it happen. I got enraged and called Natalie to tell her the trip won't be happening because of her, not me. I sit down and tell Shannon the real reason we can't go on the trip. I offer her the chance to start a new tradition and we can do something closer to home and suggest skiing or maybe an indoor water park. She's incredibly upset but understood. But when she went back to her mom's, I guess she yelled at her mom and accused her of ruining Christmas, etc. Shannon has now asked to stay at my place for the time being. My ex is saying I turned our daughter against her, and I've gotten calls from my ex-in-laws calling me an a-hole, but my family thinks I did nothing wrong. Am I the a-hole? Everyone sucks here. You are both acting like kids. Stop putting your child between your fights. Edit. First, when I read it, there was a lot of info about the ex and it sounded very petty. Later, he added comments with more info and it sounded that original poster handled the situation good, if it is as he said. But OP will get the everyone sucks here verdict from me. The kid is mad and thinks Christmas is ruined because mom is poor and can't take her to Disneyland. You guys have raised a spoiled kid, honestly, and now you're reaping what you guys have sown. This time, it's the mother that can't pay. Next time, it might be you, OP. Everyone sucks here. Your ex should not have thrown it on you to fix this problem. And both of you, your daughter at age 13 is old enough to understand that an annual Disney trip is an incredible luxury, not an entitlement. And that sometimes things happen in life that mean you have to scale back. It is not okay that she yelled at her mom for ruining Christmas, no matter how much you might feel your ex deserves it.